Welcome to the European Association for Higher Education Advancement's YouTube and podcast channel. Today we're going to be diving deep into something super important, especially if you're thinking about college. We're talking about financial planning. We'll be looking at a really interesting article from the EAHEA called The Importance of Financial Planning for College Students.
It's such a big deal, really. We're not just talking about, getting by during those few years. The choices you make now, like right now, can totally shape your finances way down the line.
Right, so let's break it down. We're going to pull out the best tips and insights, help you see why this matters so much, and give you some real practical advice to handle it all.
Definitely. A lot of people compare going to college to other big life investments, like buying a house, right? You wouldn't jump into a mortgage without a plan, would you? Well, think of your education the same way. It's an investment in yourself.
That's a great point. And just like with houses, college costs keep going up and up. The EATA article really stresses how tuition and living expenses are rising, so we've got to be smart about our money.
Exactly. And here's the thing. A lot of students don't realize how what they do with their money in college affects them later on. Like, did you know that something as simple as paying your bills on time can actually build up your credit score?
It's like this hidden scorecard that follows you around. I kind of picture it as a big video game leaderboard. Every time you're responsible, you get points.
But seriously, why should we care about our credit in college? It's not like we're buying houses just yet.
That's a common thought. But having a good credit score is like a VIP pass for anything money-related. It impacts getting loans, renting an apartment. Even some jobs look at it. Think about it. If you were a landlord, wouldn't you feel better renting to someone who has a history of being responsible?
So how do we build this awesome credit score?
Well, the EAHEA article actually has some great tips. 2 simple things can make a huge difference. Always pay your bills on time and keep your credit card balances low. That second one is about understanding how much you use your credit affects your score.
Yeah.
Don't max out those cards. Speaking of keeping things low, the article also mentions setting financial goals. I like how they connect this to our big dreams. Traveling, having a cool place to live, maybe even starting your own business someday. How does managing money in college help us reach those goals?
It's all about having a plan. Without a plan, it's super easy to get lost in day-to-day spending and forget about the big picture. Do you really need that fancy coffee every morning? What about that new gadget everyone's talking about? Do you really need that?
Whoa, no judgment on my lattes. But seriously, you're right. It's easy to get caught up in the moment. I remember this one time in college.
We can save those stories for later. The point is, if you set clear money goals and write down a plan, you can make sure your spending matches your big dreams. It's like having a financial GPS guiding you to where you want to be.
Okay, I'm ready to get practical. The EAHEA article has some super useful tips we can use today. What's the first one?
Let's start with budgeting. Now, I know that word can sound scary to some people.
It does sound a bit like a diet for your money.
Haha, yeah, kinda. But think of it as taking charge of your money instead of letting it control you. Basically, you track what you earn and what you spend so you know where it's all going.
Don't worry, it's not as hard as it sounds. There are tons of great budgeting apps out there that do it automatically for you. We'll be sure to link to some of our favorites in the show notes.
Once you've got a good grasp of your finances, you can start making smarter choices about how you spend. And that brings us to our next tip, saving.
Now, this one might sound tough as a student, but the EAHEA article really hammers home how important it is. They actually suggest trying to save 10 to 15% of what you earn.
I know, it sounds like a lot. But even a little bit each month adds up over time.
Why is saving so crucial? Especially in college. Shouldn't we enjoy these years while we can?
You should definitely enjoy college. But saving isn't about depriving yourself. It's about building a safety net for unexpected costs, investing in your future, and setting yourself up for success down the line. Plus, there's this incredible thing called compound interest. Basically, your money starts making more money, and over time, those gains can really snowball. Imagine having a nice nest egg when you graduate, ready to help you launch your career or travel the world.
All right, you've convinced me. Saving it is. What's next on our list of financial wisdom?
Let's talk about debt, specifically how to avoid unnecessary debt. Those credit card offers can be tempting, but they can also lead to some serious financial problems if you're not careful.
Yeah, we've all heard those scary stories about people graduating with tons of credit card debt.
Exactly. The key is to use credit cards responsibly and understand how interest rates work. If you're only making the minimum payments, you'll end up paying way more than you borrowed over time.
That's a scary thought. So what's the alternative?
Well, there are other ways to manage your spending, like using a debit card or even cash. The important thing is to be aware of your spending and avoid piling up debt that you'll regret later.
So it's not about never using credit cards. It's about using them smartly and understanding the terms. That makes sense.
Exactly. And that leads us to our last tip from the EAHEA article. Be mindful of your spending. You know, those little purchases that seem small at the time but can really add up.
Oh, you mean like that daily latte we were talking about?
Maybe it's about making conscious decisions. Instead of just swiping your card without thinking, take a second to consider if you really need something or if it's just an impulse buy.
So it's about finding that balance between enjoying life and being responsible with our money.
Exactly. Track your spending, figure out where you can cut back, and remember that even small changes can make a big difference over time.
This has been so helpful. We've covered a lot already. College is an investment, and we need to treat it that way. Building good credit now will open doors for us later, and setting financial goals can help us turn those big dreams into reality.
Definitely. And remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about making progress. Every little step you take towards understanding your finances is a step in the right direction.
It really feels like we're building a financial toolkit here.
Yeah.
With budgeting, saving, and being mindful of our expenses. It's empowering to know we actually have some control over our financial future.
Exactly. And the EAHEA article makes a really good point. We don't have to do this alone. There are so many resources for college students, like financial aid offices, online tools, even workshops just for managing money.
That's a great reminder. Sometimes it feels like everyone expects us to have it all figured out, but the truth is, there's help out there.
Think of it like this. Even pro athletes have coaches, right? They're at the top of their game, but they still need guidance and support. It's the same with finances. Asking for help isn't weak, it's smart.
I love that analogy. So where can students find these financial mentors or resources?
A great place to start is your college's financial aid office. They can help you understand things like grants and loans, and they can even connect you with budgeting help or workshops.
That's a good point. A lot of students think financial aid is only about tuition, but it can be so much more than that.
Absolutely. And don't forget about online resources. There are tons of websites and apps out there with budgeting tools, financial calculators, even articles and videos explaining tricky money stuff in a way that's easy to get.
It's like having a financial library right at your fingertips. Speaking of which, let's talk about something that often gets overlooked. Investing. That's not just for Wall Street people, is it?
Not at all. Investing can be a great way to grow your money over time, even if you're starting with just a little bit. And the sooner you start, the better.
I've heard of this thing called compound interest, but I don't really get how it works. Can you explain it in a way that even someone like me, who's new to all this, can understand?
Okay, imagine you plant a tiny seed. At first, it seems like nothing's happening. But with time, water, and sunlight, that seed grows into a strong, tall tree. Compound interest is kind of like that. It's the idea that your money earns interest, and then that interest earns more interest, and so on. Over time, even small amounts can grow into big savings.
So it's like a financial tree. The sooner we plant that seed, the bigger our tree will be in the long run.
Exactly. And there are different ways to invest. It depends on how much risk you're comfortable with and what your financial goals are. You can invest in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, even real estate.
Whoa, this is starting to feel kind of overwhelming. Where should a student even start with investing?
The first step is to do your research and learn about the different types of investments out there. There are a ton of resources online and even at your local library.
So it's back to those resources again. It's good to know there's help available at every step.
And remember, you don't have to be a financial whiz to start investing. There are platforms made just for beginners that make it easy to get going. You can even start with a small amount of money.
That's encouraging. So we've covered a lot today. Budgeting, saving, credit scores, investing. It's a lot to take in, but hopefully our listeners are feeling more confident about taking control of their finances.
Absolutely. And remember, financial planning isn't about being perfect. It's about progress. It's a journey, not a destination.
I love that. It takes the pressure off.
Yeah.
What are some final words of wisdom you'd like to leave our listeners with today?
I would say, don't be afraid to ask for help. Start small and build good habits. And remember that your financial journey is unique to you. There's no one-size-fits-all approach.
That's great advice. And I'd add, celebrate your wins along the way, even small things, like sticking to your budget for a month or making your first investment. Those are worth celebrating.
Absolutely. It's about building momentum and creating good financial habits, habits that will help you for years to come.
So true. Now, before we wrap up, the EAHEA article mentions another big part of financial planning we haven't talked about yet: managing student loans.
Ah, yes, student loans. That's a big one for a lot of college students. It's important to understand the different types of loans, their interest rates, and repayment options.
Yeah, it can feel like navigating a maze sometimes. What are some key things students should remember about student loans? Yeah, it can feel like navigating a maze sometimes. What are some key things students should remember about student loans?
Well, first things first, only borrow what you absolutely need. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of college and kind of overestimate how much you'll be earning after you graduate.
That's a really good point. It's tempting to think about all the fun things you could do with that extra loan money. But you got to remember, you'll have to pay it all back with interest.
Right, and speaking of interest, pay close attention to the interest rates on different kinds of loans. Federal loans usually have lower interest rates than private loans, so use up those options first.
Got it. Prioritize federal loans. What else?
Look into all your repayment options. There are different plans out there, including some that adjust your monthly payments based on your income. That can be a big help if you're worried about being able to afford those loan payments after graduation.
Oh, that's good to know. Are there any other ways students can try to keep their student loan debt down?
Definitely. One thing you can do is make extra payments whenever you can, even if it's just a little bit. It can help you pay off your loans faster and save money on interest in the long run.
That makes sense. Every little bit helps.
Another tip is to think about working part-time or during the summers. It can help cover some of your costs, and maybe you won't need to rely on loans as much.
So it's all about being proactive, taking charge of your finances while you're still in school.
Exactly. And remember, there's help out there for navigating the whole student loan thing. Don't hesitate to reach out to your financial aid office or a financial advisor you trust for guidance.
This deep dive has been so insightful. We've covered so much, from the importance of planning ahead and building good credit, to setting goals, budgeting, saving, and even managing those student loans. It's empowering to know we actually have the tools to shape our own financial future.
It really is. It's all about taking those small steps, building good habits, and making smart choices that match your values and goals.
And remember, you don't have to do this alone. There are resources to help you every step of the way.
Couldn't agree more. Financial literacy is a journey, not a destination. So keep learning, keep growing, and keep celebrating your wins.
Well said. I hope our listeners are feeling inspired to take control of their finances and build a brighter future for themselves. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of financial planning for college students.
Please, don't forget to follow the European Association for Higher Education Advancement on YouTube and social media.